Hello and welcome to our Shirebrook Academy Design and Technology Year 6 transition session. Wow, that was a mouthful. My name's Mr. Davey and I'm one of the Design and Technology teachers here at the Academy. In today's session we're going to be looking at designing for others. We're going to be using some animal inspiration, we're going to look at a range of different products, and you're going to be learning how we can design for other people. Okay, so before we get started, I've got to tell you on behalf of everybody in the Design and Technology department that we're so excited to see you and we're going to be looking forward to meeting you in September. Okay, let's get started. What you're going to need is a sheet of A4 plain paper, a ruler and a pencil. Now, we're going to go through a few rules in a moment as to what we want to do. And I'll be doing mine along with you guys up here in the corner. So if you get stuck or lost, then you can catch up with me. Okay, let's get started. Right, so as you can see, I've got my A4 sheet of paper and I've put a 1 centimeter border around the outside edge to make it look really nice and neat. And you guys can do that at home too. Now if at any point I go too quick in the video, because we're on YouTube, you can just pause me and I'll just stay stuck like this until you decide to unpause. So, once you've got your 1 centimeter border around the outside, I'm going to zoom in a little bit. You need to select your pencil. For me that takes a little bit more time than you guys, but there's my pencil, there we go. And we're going to be ready by starting off by putting at the top left hand side our name. So here we go. I'm going to put my name there like that, and I'm going to use my ruler and put a nice straight line underneath it like that. So there we go. We're also going to add a title to this as well. So we're going to go down to the bottom right hand side and we're going to put Year 6 DT Design Work. And we've already got a line there now because of the border, so we don't need to underline it again. Right, so I'm going to show you a selection of cards, and depending on which kind of card you get, you're going to be designing that type of product. So, for example, I've got two cards here. I've got adult target market and a child target market. So it's child here and adult there. Now, if you were born in a winter month, your target market is going to be the adult. If you were born in the summer months, your target market is going to be the child. Now you might be thinking, what are you talking about, adults and child? So when we design a product, let's say for example we're going to design a chair. If I design a chair for an adult, I've got to think about its colour, its shape and its size. If I design for a child, I've got to think, well, it's going to need to be bright, it's going to need to be shorter so it can fit the person who's going to sit on it. And that's the kind of thing I want you to be thinking about. So if you're in the winter months and you're doing the adult, think about how big it needs to be and what kind of colours adults might prefer. Of course, if you're on the summer months, you think about what a child would like to see. Maybe a big happy smiley face on it or something like that. Next, we need to decide who's going to design what. So, if you were born in January, April, July or November, what I'd like you guys to design for me is a type of lighting. If you were born in February, May, August or October, you're going to be designing me a new chair. And if you were born in March, June, September or December, you're going to design me either a new bag or school rucksack. Now we know what we're going to be designing, we need to know our theme. So how we're going to do that? So first of all, I'm going to give you a card from one of these four choices, these four animal choices. And then we're going to start our drawing. So we know how old we're designing for now, our target market we call that. We know what product we're going to design. Now the exciting stuff. if you were born in January, February or March, you're going to be designing with an octopus in mind. If you were born in April, May or June, you're going to be designing with a fish in mind. If you were born in July, August or September, you're going to be designing with a giraffe in mind. And if you were born in November, October or December, you're going to be designing with a bird in mind. Okay, so I could tell you from my experience that I was born in January, so that means that I am a part of a winter month, so I'm designing for an adult. I could tell you that because I was in January, I'm going to be designing with an octopus in mind. And for our product, I'm just going to go with a chair to begin with. Now, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is start by sketching. In the sketch, we want essentially to use quite a large portion of our page. And I'm just going to start off by drawing the basic part of a chair. Now, it could be the basic part of a rucksack, it could be the basic part of a light, anything like that. So it's just the basic parts. Now you'll see there how I sketch. Now here's how not to do it, and here's how to do it. How not to do it is to use one line and try and draw everything in one go, like that, because it will look not very good. When you sketch, I draw several lines. I might make a mistake, but it's okay. And because I'm using several lines to do that sketch, my drawing is going to be a lot better. Because even if I make a mistake, if I just keep going over it, it's going to end up looking better and better and better. And that's what I want you guys to do when you're sketching. So make sure you're sketching this and you're not just drawing it with one line. Okay, so now that I've got the basics parts, I need to start adding and applying this to some themes, my octopus idea. So I'm just going to write a little note here. I'm doing an adult, I'm doing a chair, and I'm doing it based on an octopus. Right, now at this stage you might want to pause the video depending on which one you're doing. So I'm going to send it over to your inspiration. So if you can't get inspiration at home and you want to do it live with me, that's fine. We're going to go and get straight into that right away. So if you're designing for the fish, okay, so now that we've got that inspiration, you can always go back to that part in the video if you need to have a bit more inspiration and just have a quick look. So we're going to go with this octopus idea. So what I want to do is I want to start curving the tops. Now I'm really excited to see what you guys create at home as well. And I'm going to curve around a little arm like this. And I'll curve another arm like that. Now I want this to look a little bit more like an octopus's arm, so I'm going to be careful with my drawing. Try and avoid rubbing things out. We want to try and see what we've created. So here at the back I'm just adding some thickness to my work so it doesn't look like it's made out of paper. I could even add a little bit of shadow. Some people might be used to drawing with shadow. We'd like to see that. And because it's a sketch, it's just rough. We don't have to worry too much about getting it perfect yet. A little bit of thickness there at the front. I might add a little curve there as well. Now that doesn't look too much like an octopus yet, but don't you worry, we're going to keep working into it. So octopus wise, we've got that beautiful inspiration. I'm going to nip back and see my inspiration so you can see. And we can see there that I've got lots of beautiful pictures with lots of colour, but these circles I'm going to use quite a lot for my design. So I'm going to add that in here. I'm going to add like maybe a pattern like that, and I might continue that pattern on over here. Now if this was for a child, I might like add in like a smiley face like that and have like a little octopus and put that on there at the back, and that might be okay because, well, that's for a child, but because we're doing it for an adult, we've got to think, well, they're probably not going to want to see that on their chair. But we can add these suckers in here like that. And if you're drawing the bird, you could add feathers or patterns. I've got this little line there like that. I might just curve the back out there as well. Have fun with this. Practice, practice, practice. That's what we're after here. We want to see what you guys can create. I want our socks blown off by the time you get to us in September with your design ideas. And the top 10 design ideas are going to go on a display in the Design and Technology department. And I want you to be on my display. So make sure you do a good job. Follow these techniques I've taught you. Practice, practice, practice. Try not to rub things out. I'd much rather you come to me in September and have 10 of these with scrappy bits of work that have gone wrong than come to me with one final idea that you've rubbed everything out. I want to see that process. We want to see what you've done practice-wise. So here I am again. I'm adding pattern, and even though I'm drawing these circles, I'm going back over them and sketching them because I want to make sure that that's perfect. If I try and draw a circle, that doesn't look like a circle. So if I sketch a circle, it looks better. If I do it again, it looks even better. Again, again, again. Sketch. I quite like that pattern actually. Might use that. So here we go. Let's add some kind of pattern. Now that could be a tentacle, couldn't it? That could have a tentacle there like that. But this is just going to be part of a pattern I'm going to have on my chair design, and I might have it swooping around like this. You might see a bit there as well, like that. Okay, so there in essence is my chair. Now it might be that I want to add a cushion. So if I do try and add a cushion like that, it might be on here that I have another pattern. I'll just go some squiggles like this, quite like that. And I'll add in some stitching to add the extra layer of detail. Like that. Now that's what we call a satellite drawing. A little bit like if you imagine this being the Earth and this being the Moon, it's satelliting around, it's going around the outside. So, and we can then add an arrow to say this is going to be a feature. Like that. And then we could even put their pillow to go on top. And you could start to label parts as well. You could sort of say, add an arrow in there, armrest. These are called annotations. So these are little things you would add to help the designers see what your ideas are. Okay, so colouring now. If you've got colouring crayons at home, then this is a fantastic opportunity for you. If you haven't, and you've only got a pencil, that's also okay, but what I want you to do instead is focus on making sure the shadows are there, and it's nice, and tonally it looks really strong with the light and dark areas. But if you've got colours, we want to add some colours into this. So I'm just going to start shading in with my pencil crayon parts of this colour. Now, when we're shading something, we should know this by now already, but if you didn't know this, here's Mr. Davies' top tip for you. Always shade, when you're colouring something, always shade in the same direction. Don't change the direction, because if you change the direction, if I colour this guy in and I just change the direction like this, oh my word, it looks awful. So always shade in a direction. I always tell my students to shade in a diagonal. And if, like I've got here, if I zoom in so you can see this, if, as you can see there, I'm leaving loads and loads of white space, when I get to the end, I'll go back again and I'll fill that space up. So you can see there that I'm not wasting any white area there. It's all being shaded. Right. Now it might be, for you guys at home, you might be thinking, okay, well I'm going to watch Mr. Davies' tutorial all the way through first, and that's fine, and then I'm going to have a go, and I'm going to use those time where he's got the inspiration up to help me with my colouring, and that's okay. So I'm going to go back and have a look at my reference material. These beautiful gorgeous pinks and blues. That image on the bottom left, that's my goal. I'm going to look for this beautiful purple. So I'm going to try and recreate that with my colours. So I'm going to shade everything in pink first. Okay, now don't be afraid if at this stage is that, oh okay, it looks quite scruffy, it doesn't look very nice and neat yet. That's okay, we haven't finished. This is the first layer of probably 2 or 3 layers of colour and shade that we're going to apply. Now I'm going to go back to my pencil and I'm going to go in here and just darken up areas and shade in just parts of this pink, make it stand out a bit more. I'm going to properly shade in these edges now at the front. Like that. I'm going to add a bit of shadow in here. And shade a little bit down there as well. Okay, one useful tip I tell students to do as well, if you've got a sheet of paper, your drawing's on there, is to hold it out at A4 size as far away as your arms can hold it, and then look at your drawing from that point of view. So if I'm here and I can see all these little messy bits down here like that, it doesn't look very neat. If I zoom out, I can look at it from a different perspective and go, okay, yeah, I can see what I need to add in there, I can see what I need to include. So let's zoom back in. I need to have a quick look at my reference again. Oh, wrong one. I've got this beautiful pink and this purple, so I'm going to probably go in there with a dark purple now, or a blue actually. A blue would be good here. So I'm going to load up my crayon with a nice dark blue, and then I'm going to start to shade over the top. What will happen is I'll blend these colours together. It'll give me a really nice technique. Now, when you're pressing on, I'm not pressing on too hard. I'm probably pushing down about 50% force. So if I pushed on, so this would be 100%. Just there, that's 100% force. That's about 50% force. So I want to be here. All these drawings around the outside as well, you don't need to worry about that. You just worry about the bit inside. These are just my little top tips to help you get a better design, better idea. Okay, so I think I'm going to go for like a yellow now and shade in these parts. There we go. I'm going to go back to my pink crayon, just shading bits that I missed. There we go, it's starting to come alive a little bit now. What's important when doing activities like this is you've got to have fun with it. You've got to enjoy this process and stop thinking, oh, I can't draw, I can't draw. That's not true. It just simply isn't true. You need practice, and the more you practice, the better you get. Some of you already know this. Some of you are quite good at drawing. Some of you are less practiced than everybody else, so you're not quite as good yet. And there will be times where you do a drawing and you're just simply not happy with what you've created. That's normal. Here I am just adding some extra details in, just going around, making sure I shade in between the lines and that I don't leave any white space, unless it's intentionally supposed to be white. Now this technique is one that I use with some of my older years, where we would shade around the outside of an object, like I'm doing here, and then because we shaded in lightly in between, it gives you this nice 3D effect. So I'm going to use this on my patterns. Like that. There we go. Now we'd expect you to complete a drawing like this in about an hour and 20 minutes. Now this video is not going to be that long. We're going to go for about half an hour. If you need to go back over something, then feel free to rewind me. If you want to keep working a bit longer than an hour and 30 minutes, then you can. However, be aware that in a classroom environment we would be tied down to that amount of time. So try and keep your drawing to an hour and 20 minutes. Any longer and you'd be using your break time to finish it. So make sure you keep your eye on the time. But like I said, in this session today, if you want to go a little bit over that, that's okay. Now you've seen me doing quite a lot of this colouring, and if you haven't got crayons, like I said, focus on the tone, the black and white, the dark and the light areas. Try and include as much shadow in there as you can. Try and look at natural light. If you can, go and look at a real chair or go and look at a real bag and see where the light hits it. See where the shape is. Try and recreate that shape. And you can see here some of my work at the moment is quite scruffy, but sketches are a little bit scruffy. They're a bit scrappy. It's your ideas down on paper. There we go. Now if you've got a rubber and you want to just tidy up little edges like that, you can do, but essentially you want to be sticking to leaving your working out your drawings without any rubber marks really. But I understand that sometimes you've made a mistake and you think, oh no, I've got to get that rubbed out, so I've got to get that sorted out, and that's okay. So here I'm going around with the pink just to add a little highlight. Might even add a little bit of highlight back into my chair like that. Let's get a bit of blue back into here. There we go, I think we're about nearly finished there, to be fair. Adding shadow. Let's presume or imagine that the light is coming from this direction, so I'm going to have a bit of shadow here. Don't want to go mad with the shadow, just want to suggest and that grounds it, that allows your chair to go drop onto the ground. Again, we could colour in our pillow as well. So I'm just going to clean up this drawing so we can have a good look at what we've got from the point of view of what you should see on your drawings. So I'll clear all this up. There you go. Probably make a neater arrow. There we go. Oops, I've lost my border. I'll put that back in. And there we have it. So, there's our design idea. Now we want to see how creative you guys can be. Don't forget, if you're designing for a child, make it like a child's friendly design. If it's for an adult, make it adult friendly for a design. Remember, we've got a variety of different products, so we can have a really nice discussion when we get back to school in September and talk through all the different ideas. So it might be that your friend He's had to design a chair, you've had to design a rucksack. Maybe you've both got octopus as your theme. Maybe one's for a child, one's for an adult. So you get this really nice dialogue, this really nice conversation where you can look at different ideas and share those ideas. From me and part of the design team here at Shamrock Academy, we hope you enjoyed our little transition activity, and we're really excited to see what you guys have created at home. So from all of us here, good luck, stay safe, give us your best work, and we'll see you in September. Bye now.